here to stay, make a good lucha thing.
See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down.
This is such good shit.
It's time for the Ringsiders Podcast.
Bologna, fudge, and mustard. My life is being ruined by the internet.
Welcome into the first episode of the Ringsiders Podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson, where we talk nothing but wrestling and maybe a little bit else. So maybe not nothing but wrestling, but mostly wrestling. I am joined by the one and only Iowa's own Billy Snyder. Billy, how you doing?
I'm not from Iowa. I just want that to be known first and foremost.
That's a good point. That's a good point. I should have. We all went to St. Cloud State, I guess is what I should have said. But also joining us is Egan's own Dante Smith. Dante, what's up?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Doing good. Let's see. I'm looking at your background. Who's that basketball player behind you on your wall?
Oh, it's John Morant.
Oh, okay. You're riding that hype.
Making.
You're riding that hype train.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. As a Grizzlies fan, I always do.
Absolutely. And Neil, you're from St. Cloud, right?
That's right, Gabe.
All right. So St. Cloud's own Neil Lommel. Neil, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Pretty good.
Good. Glad to hear it. Glad to hear it. You got your Hot Rod shirt on?
Hot Rhonda.
Oh, it's Hot Rhonda. Okay.
This is the first time I've worn this shirt. I got it at a sale at Hot Topic probably 6 months ago, and so I had to break it out for our first episode.
That's awesome. Yeah, Hot Topic's the best. I once found a $4 Fandango shirt at Hot Topic before he was in NXT and stuff like that, but before he was in Breezango, so I had to pick up that shirt. So I don't have it on now, but
rare.
Yeah. Absolutely. So
collector's edition there.
Yeah, collector's edition. It's going to be worth millions one day.
One day.
Just a gold plated Fandango shirt on eBay for $3,000. So it'll make you a 3,000-aire one day.
But yeah. It's like you know that the Parts Fun Known YouTube channel that's doing the wrestling trivia stuff. Yeah, it's like their weird stuff they find on eBay, and they try to guess the price and stuff like that. So we could see that on it one day, maybe.
We will.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
For sure. So I kind of wanted to start the show with kind of getting to know us, and let's kind of go around. Name your favorite wrestler, your current favorite wrestler, the one to watch right now, and your favorite of all time. Let's start with you, Billy.
Right now, my favorite wrestler has to be Maxwell Jacob Friedman.
Yeah, he's great.
He's just good at everything. He's good at the microphone. He's good at wrestling. He's good at smack-talking dumb marks on Twitter like me. So that's why he is my favorite currently. All time is tough. I mean, the two that pop in my head like immediately are like Undertaker and Stone Cold.
Yep, that makes sense.
Just off the top of my head, just because they're the ones that like have made like the longest lasting wrestling memories for me. But that that or Jumpin' Jeff Farmer.
I thought you were gonna say Festus from Biscuits and Gravy.
Biscuits and Gravy.
Big pop.
What a banger.
Maybe a man. All right, let's go with Dante. Favorite current wrestler and favorite of all time. I know the answer for all time, but go ahead.
All time might surprise you. It's been going back and forth, but today, honestly, it's probably Drew McIntyre. I think he has the complete package right now. He's good on the mic. He's great in the ring. He's a big man who's hella athletic. I hope he keeps a long reign, or at least until fans get back in the building. But all time, honestly, lately, I think it's been Chris Jericho.
Really?
Usually it's Edge for me, but I think it's Jericho right now. There's nobody who's done as much as Jericho and as many different ways as Jericho, and he's still great today. So I'm going to lean Jericho today.
Wow, that changed from last time I asked you.
It's a big move. Yeah, it's a big move.
Yeah, making money moves. All right, let's move on to Neil. Favorite current wrestler and all time?
Favorite current wrestler right now for like the last month, I've really been liking the work Bailey has been doing.
Okay, that's an interesting one. But
yeah, I've really enjoyed her as a heel. And I think she's one of the wrestlers who I think has adapted very well to the having to tape in the performance center. Because I remember like right off the bat, I think the first time they did SmackDown, she was already like interacting. But the first time they did SmackDown in empty arena, she was already interacting like with the commentator. She likes to do that and stuff.
Mhm.
I think she's adapted well to the lack of crowd, and I just think her and Sasha have been awesome. All time favorite wrestler is John Cena.
really, C Nation.
Oh yeah.
Obado!
He right when I first started getting into wrestling was like right as he was winning the United States Championship. Or no, not like I started watching wrestling like right after WrestleMania 20. So I was around for like the rise of John Cena, and that's kind of when I
Sure.
fell in love with wrestling.
Yeah.
Center United States title belt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, John, as much as flack as John Cena gets, he is great. Like, you believe the hype on John Cena. Like, and he's gotten a lot better in the ring too throughout the years.
True.
All right,
I'm
now
gonna be honest.
Killed at WrestleMania.
He did, and the
Technically
John
dead.
Cena
Career.
the John Cena flack's gotta be over by now. I mean, he's been having the match of his life every time he comes back. So that's gotta be like dead. And I feel like people just do it now because it's just tradition to just be like, John Cena sucks.
Yeah.
We don't need to anymore. There's Roman Reigns.
I agree.
Yeah, nobody said Roman. I cannot believe it.
Vince is stewing in Connecticut right now. No one said
I
Roman.
like Roman Reigns.
I respect the guy. Like, I respect that he beat cancer. I respect the guy. I don't like the character. I don't know. It's just me. Yeah. Anyway, so I'll go with mine, and this might actually shock you because I got into wrestling very, very late, much later than you guys. I didn't start watching wrestling literally until like after high school. Like, I was not into it as a kid. But so I will say my favorite wrestler of all time, Brock Lesnar's close, but all time and current, I have the same for each one, is Kevin Owens. I love him on the mic. I love him in the ring. He always puts on a good match. He can do basically everything in the ring. Like, I would have loved to seen some of his old matches with El Generico and stuff like that. Like, I feel like I need to look some of those up. But I love Kevin Owens. I love everything about it. I like that he's a big man that can actually do stuff. And not just like Kane punch or Great Khali slap or whatever.
Yeah, I like that he's just kind of himself. Like, even when he's talking on the mic, it just sounds like he's not cutting a promo. And I love his ring gear. Just rolls up to the arena in a cut-up shirt and a pair of shorts.
Yeah, because
he's ready to fight.
Yeah, he rolls up to the ring. You're like, who is this fat guy? And then he does like a flip senton and stuff like that. And he's jumping off of stage sets and stuff like that. And yeah, he's my favorite. He's my favorite. So you're kind of introducing ourselves. We won't do all of these, but how about let's go favorite like matches that stick out. Like, if you were gonna go to a match, which one are you watching on the network or in another promotion? Let's start with Billy.
I mean, what jumps out at me first is Shawn Michaels Taker 1.
Okay.
That one really sticks out for me a lot, just because of I had fallen off of wrestling at that point, and when I got back, I was just so glued to that match. It was just incredible. And one that and another one that sticks out for me I think it's just criminally underrated. No one talks about it because it really wasn't that important at the time. But at the first Battleground, it was Shield versus Cody and Goldust.
Okay.
And that was a match where I knew the result ahead of time. I was watching it afterwards. I knew the result, and I still lost my shit because of how good they told that story. Like, I legit was like, wait, I thought the Shield wasn't supposed to win, like, so many times. And I just lost my shit. it was great, and I think it deserves more credit.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll have to watch that one. I haven't seen it.
That's really good.
yeah, that was
Really good.
That's something that shows that Goldust can still go. I mean, we saw it with the him versus Cody match too. I mean, Justin Reynolds can still go, and he's almost as old as the Undertaker. So, I mean, at least in wrestling years. Dante, go ahead.
I mean, usually one of the first ones that come to mind too is Shawn and Taker won at Mania 25. I was actually at that WrestleMania.
Yes, that's what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah, the electricity in the building during that match, during the first Tombstone kick out, it was insane. It was insane. But just not to piggyback off that, another match that I always remember, it was Elimination Chamber, maybe 2014. I think it was the Shield versus the Wyatt family. The first time those two teams ever faced off, and that was actually in Minnesota at the Target Center. Didn't get a chance to go to that one, but that match was insane. It showed so much of what the future was going to be. Mostly, anyway.
Yeah,
it was a really
I was there, and the electricity was just on fire. The two things from that night that I remember most is that match and the fact that during the Elimination Chamber, someone called Christian Ponder. which was fun.
Sign of the times, definitely sign of the times.
But yeah, you're right, Dante. It's a banger.
All right, Neil, go ahead.
The one match that jumps out to me a lot is and this is probably a match that I've definitely watched the most times out of any wrestling match, is the Hell in a Cell 98 Undertaker and Mankind.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
Like that. Mick Foley, that freeze frame of him going off the cell is just like an image that is just like burned in my mind, and like I'm sure a lot of people's minds. And that was before I even watched wrestling, but I remember when I was a kid, I had this Undertaker DVD, and that match was on there, of course, and I just watched it so many times. And if I ever am like hanging out with some buddies and we start watching wrestling, that's one match I'll always put on if people haven't seen it before, because it's nuts.
Yeah, for sure.
Like they're like, why are you showing me this? Because it's like the match, when they start wheeling Mick Foley off on the stretcher, it's like, oh, the match is over already. No, it's just getting started.
Well, the thing about that match is
awesome.
He was supposed to go off the side of the cage. He wasn't supposed to go through it. Like, that was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, that's extremely dangerous. He's lucky he
is alive.
He walked away that night.
Yeah,
that's incredible.
Absolutely.
And another match would also like to mention, which is probably one of my favorites of the last couple of years, was Charlotte versus Becky, last woman standing at the Evolution pay-per-view. I remember that one being
really
a great
good
match.
Yeah, any combination of the four horsewomen in a match is just absolutely fantastic most of the time, if it's not gimmicked up. But
which this one was definitely gimmicked up, but I just had a blast watching it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good match for me. And this is gonna sound like a noob as well, but really any of the Gargano versus Ciampa matches, like their main event matches, like those get me every single time. I guess you can consider me a really big NXT guy. Another great match that I go to a lot when I get a chance is, like I mentioned earlier, that blew me away was that Dustin versus Cody match in AEW. That was really good, and that was just so much blood on the line and stuff like that. How bloody both of them got was ridiculous.
Dustin got busted open so bad it was kind of honestly borderline hard to watch.
Yeah, it was.
it helped. It helped the match a lot too.
Yeah. But the one that I will definitely go back to time and time again is the North American. The first time the North American title was on the line in that ladder match. From NXT, it wasn't a main event. It was like the first one they ever did for the North American title, and just the brutality in that, and the spots with ladders, and then Adam Cole coming away with it, his coronation kind of, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But that I would say that's my favorite
match. Over huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a 5-star match by Dave Meltzer, which is a reminder that Lars Sullivan has a 5-star rated match from Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer newsletter.
I literally haven't thought of Lars Sullivan in months since you.
It's probably best that you
just said that, and yes, that's a really good thing. I really don't need to.
Man, what a weird history. That's a retrospective for another show.
Yeah.
Like, oh man.
We can do a Lars Sullivan episode. All right, and then I wanted to mention one more kind of intro question for you guys. What is your favorite moment at a live show that you've seen? And I think I might know Dante's, but go ahead, Billy.
Shane McMahon jumping off the cell at WrestleMania 32.
Oh, you were at WrestleMania. I forgot about that.
Yeah, my first WrestleMania, and so far my only one, it was a lot not as fun as Dante's, like at all. But I like the experience was super cool. Rikishi was like outside in a tent for like 11 hours, but I never saw him. And like we had to go through like so much to get there, like so much to sit down. And like that for me really besides like the pops that Stone Cold got, that would really cap for me that I am at a friggin' WrestleMania. So that was my favorite moment of the live show. That or the time that we went to a house show and this dude walked up with an Intercontinental Championship belt and I pointed it out and he was like, yeah, the only championship that John Cena's never won. And I'm pretty sure Gabe like out loud was like, cool.
Yeah, that was a good moment. That was such a house show moment. Like, I get to see my favorite wrestlers coming to my city of Rochester.
Yeah, it was that or the older lady behind us who said she was going to beat Chris Jericho's ass.
Beat his ass. Yeah, her husband like dragged me down by my hood during Enzo and Cass's entrance because we had the nerve to pop for them.
That's hilarious. All right, Dante, favorite live moment. I think I know what it is, but
yeah, I mean it's definitely at WrestleMania 25. There were so many good moments. I mean, Shawn and Taker was one of them. But just seeing like the fireworks when the show starts, and Billy, you can kind of attest to that too. That's always something just cool to see. And even though the main event was the same for both of us, with Triple H and a disappointing main event, the fireworks at the end of the show were still cool to see too. So I know it's just WrestleMania as a whole. It's a fever. It's a good deal.
Catch it. Yeah. I obviously really want to go to a WrestleMania someday. So right now I'll settle for TLC, which seems to come to Minneapolis a lot for some reason. All right, Neil, go ahead.
Yeah.
Favorite wrestling moment.
It doesn't have to be WWE. It can be different indies too, or.
Yeah. I'll go with I went to the Royal Rumble 2018, I think, and that was when Becky won the Royal Rumble.
Awesome.
Pretty awesome moment. But I can't really say I remember the match that much. It was all just kind of a blur. It was just more fun to just be in the stadium because they played it
that was in Arizona, right?
Wrestled at the Diamondbacks baseball field, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I gotta say. And that was when I just remember thinking how cool it was that they used the dugout as the entrance. I changed it up because all the sets for all the pay-per-views had been the same for a while, and that was like one. It was just very, very simple. It was cool to see all the wrestlers come out and there's like fans behind them. And that place popped huge when Lana could not make it due to injury, and then Finlay came out and was like trying to hold Becky back, and then there's just that one moment where he's like, all right, fine, you can go, and the place just went nuts.
Yeah,
because everybody knew, kind of everybody knew that she was going to win, and she did.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would be really, a Royal Rumble is something I definitely want to go to as well. It's one of these things that got to come to Minneapolis. WrestleMania or something has got to come to Minneapolis at some point.
at US Bank Stadium.
It's got to happen.
I'm waiting for it.
It's like Dante, that guy who came to St. Cloud State gave us a nod. The guy who works for the Vikings, I asked, is WrestleMania ever going to come to Minneapolis? And he said, you can rest easy. Hasn't happened yet.
One of these days.
One
of these years.
Dude, it's too cold. It's too cold in April, dude. It'll never happen.
Well, the Super Bowl happened.
Yeah, they did the Super Bowl.
They
and I was like
bitched a lot
20.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they bitched a lot about it.
That's true.
They're mad about that.
Okay, it's not going to be -20 in April. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Hopefully.
The Royal Rumble's cold, too. That's the problem with it, too.
You're right, Billy. It could happen in April.
All right, so I have a couple favorite moments. One was when it was at a indie show and in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I'll never go back again. But it was a fans bring the weapons match, and it was Hornswoggle was in the match, and someone brought a box of Lucky Charms, so he smashed someone in the head with a box of Lucky Charms. That was pretty cool. But at a WWE, now this is also an obscure story. So I don't know if you guys remember TLC, the last TLC they did, it was in Minneapolis, but there was a match sponsored by KFC. And do you remember the match sponsored by with the people in the front? It was like the Viking Raiders and
versus Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah, versus Gallows and Anderson in a throwaway match, but it was sponsored by KFC. So they ended up smashing the table where the KFC was. But so as the people who were in the front row with the KFC, as they were leaving, I yelled, "Throw me some chicken." And so the guy literally took out one of the chicken bones and threw it up in the air, and I dived for it and got it and ate that chicken. That was the greatest moment.
And you still have the bone as a souvenir.
I should, but chicken tasted really good, though.
Yeah, I really hope that it would have come full circle and you would have ate the bone and then brought the chicken bone to the fans bring the weapons match in Oshkosh.
Unfortunately, I wish, but unfortunately, the weapons match happened before this. But
what did you bring?
I didn't know it was happening, so I didn't bring anything. I didn't know it was a fan. But all I saw when I got in line, I just saw all these people with like rakes and stuff like that, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was the fans bring the weapons match and baseball bats and stuff. Obviously, they didn't clobber each other with baseball bats, but yeah.
Hey, Gabe, what town was this in?
Oshkosh, Wisconsin, baby.
Oshkosh, okay.
Yeah.
City by the bay.
City.
Good old Beantown.
Actually, there is a bay by it because it is on Lake Winnebago.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
What, you thought that was a gimmick?
No, I don't know.
Gimmick is real.
Yeah.
It's a city that never sleeps.
For sure.
We only do shoots here.
So moving forward, so that's a little bit about us. That's kind of where we're coming from as wrestling fans. But let's kind of get into the week here. It was kind of an interesting 2 weeks because we had not one but two free pay-per-views on two different nights. So I guess it wasn't a pay-per-view, but it felt like a pay-per-view. We had FYTER Fest and All American Bash for NXT. And in NXT, notably...
Great American Bash.
Great American Bash,
American Bash.
And not just
the Mall of America Bash.
No, that's WCW's first ever show. That's the Mall of America Bash. But so we have a new champion, a new NXT champion, Keith Lee. Keith, 2 belts. What'd you guys think of the match?
I thought it was an awesome match. I was pretty drunk when I watched it. But I was enthralled. I could not believe how good those two guys made each other look. I mean, they did. I think they showed a tail of the tape, and they had Adam Cole weighing like 130 pounds less than Keith Lee, and you got to think like, okay, come on, like realistically, how could Adam Cole beat a guy that size? But with all of Adam Cole's kicks and stuff, I mean, if you got kicks, it doesn't really matter how much you weigh if you can just kick a dude in the head. But I thought it was a great match, and I'm actually probably going to watch that one again tonight.
Quote from
more
Neil:
sober
"It
frame
doesn't
of
matter
mind.
how big small you are, if you can kick a guy in the head." That's a good quote. I like that. But yeah, it was a great. You guys have any thoughts on the epic match between Adam Cole and Keith Lee?
Yeah, it was a great match. I mean, Adam Cole took a ton of punishment in that match. A lot of times he landed on his neck, a lot of times, a lot of uncomfortable spots. But I think the biggest thing to take away is just how much of a made man Keith Lee looks like now. I mean, if you look a year ago from today, Keith Lee is barely making NXT shows weekly. And now he got the rocket strapped to the highest degree. He showed out at Survivor Series last year. He's taken the North American Championship and made it mean something. Great match with Dijakovic, with Johnny Gargano, Adam Cole amongst them too. And, you know, there's only more great things Keith Lee can do. He's a made man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and Keith Lee, he's a big guy, but he can do stuff. He can do the Spanish fly. He can do a shooting star press or a moonsault. He can hit small guy moves, and he's huge.
Freak athlete, absolute freak athlete. I've never seen a guy that big who's able to do full moonsaults off the top rope, Vader style. So that guy's a freak. The guy's an absolute freak.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I mean, well, let's be honest. We just watched two future WWE champions.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And while I could go on and on about Keith Lee all day. He's like my favorite thing going on in NXT right now, just because of how well he's just presented and how well he presents himself, and you know, everything he does is just phenomenal. But I got to pivot for just a second. Adam Cole's got to take that title off Drew McIntyre. Like, come like Survivor Series or come like the Royal Rumble. The next thing for Adam Cole, in my opinion, is the WWE title, because I think that is a feud you can build off their history in NXT. As Adam Cole debuted, beating up Drew McIntyre with the Undisputed Era, right? So if I was going to fantasy book this, and this isn't going to happen, but you have the Undisputed Era get their evolution moment at Survivor Series, which is all the gold on either Raw or SmackDown, because this is your money team, and Adam Cole showed himself to be a money guy moving forward. And I know that there's some contract talks and all that. They need to sign him right now. They need to make him the next heel WWE champion.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can go on and on about Keith Lee all day, but I think I don't want to beat a dead horse on that.
What a good position NXT. I mean, they're always in a good position. I mean, they got Johnny Gargano, they got Keith Lee, they got Adam Cole, they got Velveteen Dream, and they just got all these guys who are just phenomenal and would be great on the next level as well.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention Karrion Kross looking over at the end of the show, kind of just looking down at Keith Lee. That's going to be the next mega feud in NXT. That's going to be amazing. Yeah,
even Damian Priest, he's solid too. I like Damian Priest as well. Yep.
Finn Balor's still there.
Yeah, Finn is there. So just a huge win for Keith Lee. He's got 2 belts now. How do you think they're going to resolve? Because I can't imagine them keeping the the North American Championship on him forever, just because you can use that to boost another guy. How do you think they're going to handle that?
I'm being honest, you're probably going to see Johnny Gargano take it again. I mean, if you need to get the belt off, if you need to get the North American title off of Keith Lee right now, it's Johnny Gargano. But if they don't, then I can see Finn Balor making some kind of splash, either by being a mid-card champion or being one of his feuds after Karrion Kross, because I can't, as much as I love Karrion Kross, I don't think you should take the belt off of Keith Lee right away. He's not a transitional champion. He's a guy who should be your champion for a while. But I think if you're going to take that North American title off, I would put it on Johnny Gargano or Finn Balor, and then let those two duke it out from there. And then flip a coin. You'll get money.
Yeah.
I mean, what I'd like to see happen. Oh, go ahead.
No, go.
What I'd like to see happen is I kind of want to see this happen like Ultimate Warrior style. Have him pick to keep the World Championship, and then we'll take the North American Championship off him. I think the best thing NXT can do to kind of fill some time this summer is have a tournament. Have a good old-fashioned tournament for that North American Championship. And like you said, Billy, have the Final Four be like a Damian Priest, a Gargano, a Balor. Ciampa has got to do something eventually. And I don't know if Karrion Kross should go directly for Keith Lee, but the way things are set up, I don't see too many ways they can kind of poke themselves out of it. I just hope that they can do this in a way that keeps both guys over without having to take the title off Keith Lee. It's hard to do that, though. I hope they don't rush into this one.
Yeah.
Like I assume, and I know Neil, you got something to say here too, but I'd assume what they would do is, well, and I hate to play fantasy booker again and again and again, but it's a wrestling podcast. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Basically, you just have, if you have Karrion Kross kick out of the Bang Bang Catastrophe, you could literally have him get rolled up immediately after that, and you'd immediately like put him over as a guy who's powerful. But he didn't beat Keith Lee because Keith Lee hit him with a multiple devastating moves. And while it seems to be a theme a lot in the NXT Championship match with all these kicking out of finishers and stuff like that, it writes itself. Like, it's easy money.
It's always a lot of fun. It doesn't happen all that often, but it's fun when there is a double champion. It's kind of like it's like a fun treat, 'cause it's like, oh, that's weird. They don't have to do that, but they did. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the thinking is behind giving someone 2 championships, but it looks awesome when someone comes out to the ring and they got 2 belts. I would be okay with Keith Lee holding both of them for the rest of the summer. I mean, I know that you got to have feuds, but NXT is one of those brands that, honestly, the feuds there are always so good. It doesn't need to be a title belt on the line.
Yeah.
To have a good feud. So I don't know how they're gonna get one or the other belt off of him, but I'm excited to see what they come up with. And you got Triple H running the show, and he'll probably think of something really good.
That's true. Yeah. And I really like Dante's idea of a tournament. I'm just thinking of all the good matches that you could have in a tournament like that. I think that's a great idea. But honestly, with in the hands of Triple H, I trust him, and I think that title will be in good hands. I'm not too worried about it. But one thing we got to talk about is it snapped. The win for Keith Lee snaps Adam Cole's historic reign, 403 days as NXT champion. Just I guess kind of talk about the reign and just your favorite match out of that, or just what a reign, because over a year he was champion.
Yeah, I mean, he really held down the fort. I don't think there was a more consistent performer in NXT than Adam Cole, maybe Johnny Gargano, which, I mean, that's the first thing you should probably talk about when it comes to that championship reign. Those first 3 matches with Johnny were so wild. Incredible.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah.
So I think Adam Cole, the problem with Adam Cole in this reign, though, is that it was so amazing and so fantastic. Once he's done, it feels like there's not much left for him to do in NXT.
Yeah.
And so you almost immediately have to kind of look at, what's next? Where does he go from here? Because it almost feels like a letdown for him to go back to fight Keith Lee again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But again, an incredible reign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, a great reign, and it's just how long it lasted. I mean, you don't see reigns like that too much. Like, you'd never see that long of a reign, except maybe for Lesnar or something like that in the WWE on Raw or SmackDown. But just a real historic reign, and we probably won't see that for years to come. I mean, I don't think they'd break that record with Lee right away, particularly because I think they're going to want him on the main.
Some days.
Oh, say that again, Neil.
I said they're not going to break the record right away. It'll take at least 400 something days.
That's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. I didn't consider that. Yeah, but
yeah, I mean, honestly, what else do you do? I mean, you got basically 2 choices here. You get him up to the main roster, or you put him in another main event program. And right now, while I like the move to main roster, I feel like his last thing to do would be get some momentum back, get some wins, get him in a really good feud with someone who's also almost ready to get up to the next level, and just do like a loser leaves town match, do some shenanigans if you have to. Adam Cole leaves on his back, says his goodbyes, potentially takes the Undisputed Era with him, and goes on a tear. And they're seriously missing an opportunity if we don't get a main roster all the gold moment for the Undisputed Era.
Yeah, I agree.
So that brings a good point, though. Do you think the Undisputed Era is coming up to the main roster together? Do you think they're going to keep that group intact?
I think they should do it slowly but surely. If I could, I would have something like you have a tag team gauntlet match, and at the end you get like O'Reilly and Fish, and then when they're cutting a promo, someone comes out to beat them up, and then Roderick Strong shows up. They're doing a 3-man, or like some kind of like elimination match, and at the end there's Adam Cole, and then you either hotshot them to like doing like a 4-way thing. They run roughshod. They start getting wins. They start slotting themselves in belt positions. I'd like to see them at least try to maybe switch some people around. Like maybe give it's just because I'm a big Kyle O'Reilly guy, but maybe give him a mid card shot. Or just have them freebird the tag team titles. Just establish them as guys that are practically unbeatable, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, for sure. For sure, yeah.
I think you got to keep Undisputed Era together. It would just really freshen up whatever show they go to. And I can't, off the top of my head right now, I mean, they lost, Gallows and Anderson are gone now. The Revival are gone. I just feel like the tag division on the main roster, I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, is pretty weak right now. And I think you got to stick those guys together. It would be awesome.
Is it just me, or does it feel like the Undisputed Era is something that the main roster could easily ruin?
Oh, definitely.
Like, I don't think they're going to mess up Adam Cole, because I think Adam Cole speaks for himself and he's that good. But I could see like I don't know, Fish.
Like the club?
Yeah, exactly. Like I could see I could see Fish on Superstars at some point, like not doing anything. Kind of like what they did with Sanity. Like where Eric Young is just randomly
that's another one.
on Superstars for no reason. But yeah, I mean, you got to be optimistic. But yeah, it's. I could see them messing it up. I don't think they're going to mess up Adam Cole, but I could see them screwing it up.
And it's tough because. Go ahead, Dante.
I was just going to say the biggest fear usually is the fact that they're all smaller guys. They're not big Vince kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see all four of them matched up with like a McIntyre, your first inclination is Vince McMahon is going to bury these four dudes.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's really possible that it happens. I hope it doesn't. But again, like everyone's been saying, Adam Cole seems like a sure thing. Everyone else is kind of a hope they don't screw this up kind of thing.
Yeah.
And historically, Vince McMahon is not a fan of tag wrestling. I mean, it's just, it's just a fact. Historically, he's just not a fan. So as long as they can keep them together, make it like a Shield thing, make it like a New Day thing, understand that. Because when it comes to, like, if you take a good example, like the New Day, Kofi Kingston is WWE champion, New Day are still together. Like, he is a member of the New Day. He is a very good singles guy, but he's also got his team to back him. So if you do that, and that's a lot easier to do for heels than it is for babyfaces. So
yeah,
I think it can be, as long as they just give it a chance, it'll work, because they have that ability to change to the WWE style, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, I agree. So anything else we want to talk NXT, or should we move on to AEW here? Any closing thoughts, any of the other matches about NXT? Any thoughts or anything?
One more thing with NXT.
Yeah, go ahead.
I want more street fights, man. I mean, Dakota Kai versus Tegan Nox was super violent. Mia Yim, Candice LeRae was super violent. I love the way that they do street fights. They should just do more, because it's just hook it to my veins right now. I want it.
I was just gonna mention that the finish to that match last night, Candice LeRae and Mia Yim, where Candice won, right? Yeah, she did the whatever move
that neck
she
breaker.
did, the neck breaker off the top rope onto the pile of chairs. I was just like, oh man, that was cool. That was a great way to end that match.
Their style really hooks me, and I'm gonna go back to Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai, because I think that's one of my top matches in the last 12 months, because I expected them to, like, they brawl, they do some stick, they do some weapons, we get an end. But what I got, and you see a lot of this too with Yim and LeRae, was a violent match, like a clobber you over the head. I'm gonna beat you with whatever I got. Just a violence you don't see anymore. And it's weird to pitch violence in the PG era, which, the PG era isn't inherently, a bad thing in my opinion. You can do wrestling PG and still have it violent, but man, I just want more of that. It's just so refreshing from the shtick that you have to do with sports entertainment to fill 2-3 hours of television. to just seeing something like that on pay-per-view. I want all of it. I just want all of it.
The stuff they come up with is so creative too. Like I recorded the ending of that street fight from last night on my phone, and I forgot that they were standing on top of a table that was like balancing on the top ropes, using it as like a platform. I can't say I've seen that one before.
Yeah, I haven't either. Yeah. No, it was definitely a really good, and NXT. I mean, they're always really good. So they're basically good at everything they do, with a few exceptions. But whether it's a house show or just NXT weekly or a pay-per-view, you're in pretty good hands with NXT. But another company that's going on is AEW, and night 2 of FYTER Fest, the main event. Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho. Jericho gets the W, and Orange Cassidy looked pretty good, did he not?
A star was born last night. It is. I mean, okay. Let's all be honest. Orange Cassidy already a star, and he's actually he is a great wrestler. And I was very curious to see how AEW was going to handle him. Like, how can you keep having matches when you're so lackadaisical and like not trying? Like, how can you make this? How is my brain going to comprehend this? And that match last night shows how it's done. When Orange Cassidy gets pissed off, he puts on a great match. I think this one was better than probably better than the Neville match that took place at Revolution, I believe.
Mean Pac?
Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Pac is a way better name than Neville. I'm not sure. I'm
Neville.
not even sure why I called him that. But yeah, that was a great match. Orange Cassidy is awesome. Jericho is a great. I mean, his matches are great, even at his age. It's pretty cool to see what he does. It almost reminded me of the way that match happened. Kind of reminded me of, I don't know if you guys ever saw the match of Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom, that one a couple of years ago.
Stayed up till 4 a.m. to watch it.
Yep. The way they kind of moved around the ring, like it was just, and outside the ring, I don't know. It was great. And Orange Cassidy's awesome. I love when he does like a cool move, like jumps off the top rope, but even as he's in midair, he's just like kind of like lazy. Like he just kind of like flung himself onto Jericho and just arms at his sides, limp.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I applaud Orange Cassidy for his uniqueness and just doing something that nobody has seen before.
Yeah. And I think the thing about AEW and Orange Cassidy that always shines bright to me is the fact that only AEW, I think, could do something like Orange Cassidy and really make it seem mainstream. And not only have it mainstream, but main event and have it fit still. Because what Orange Cassidy is so unorthodox. Again, like you said, he's the lazy guy. He's the lackadaisical guy. He does everything with his hands in his pockets. But he's still able to really go when it counts, when he has that opponent and when it matters most.
Mm-hmm.
And so it shows how creative AEW is willing to be. Because something like that, I don't think would ever fly in WWE and NXT and any offshoot of a Vince McMahon-owned company.
I felt like such a Jim Cornette when I first saw Orange Cassidy, because I just look at him doing like the lazy stick and the fake kicks and all that, and I'm just like, what the hell is it? I don't get it. Like, I don't get it, right? But when you see a match like with Pac, with Jericho, and that's another moment where if you don't get it now, then you're just not getting it, because those are matches where I just look at that like, okay, I get it now. Like, this is part of his character is that he's lazy, but if he wants to try, God forbid you make him try, because he'll kick your ass, right? And Chris Jericho is just so good at putting people over, and it has been consistently good at that for decades. And this is another notch in his belt on how he just brings out the best in people. And this is not a knock on Orange Cassidy at all, but man, Jericho just brings out the best in people. And like, this is another notch. It's another reason why Jericho is one of the best of all time. Another reason why Orange Cassidy is just such a fun character. Like, it makes wrestling fun. Mm-hmm. And that's why I enjoy Orange Cassidy, because wrestling's supposed to be fun. I mean, It's simulated combat, for God's sakes. Like, they're not actually hitting each other, and we know that.
It's
But
real to me,
it's
damn
fun.
Wait, what? They're not. Oh. I'm just
Hell,
I mean, it really hurts. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I would not want to take any kicks. I would not want to take any it kips or slaps or stuff like that.
I would like 0 bumps in my feature, please.
It is absolutely insane to me that Orange Cassidy went back when AEW was still able to do crowds. He was getting the biggest reactions for doing the least. Like, it just goes to show less is more, and he literally like does nothing. Like him putting your hands in your pockets, and the crowd just erupts.
He gets it up, and I'll eat that for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, dude. I'm one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's great. Jericho's great. Obviously, I mean, Jericho kind of speaks for himself. Now, I want to know: I'm not sure yet. Do we know Jon Moxley's next opponent?
Brian Cage next week.
It is. Oh, next week. Oh, okay.
Both titles, title versus title.
Really?
I don't know if it's actually title versus title, but
is he? If Jon Moxley wins, is he STW champion?
He should be. He should just take it because he actually is the baddest man on the planet, if you ask me.
But the thing is, go ahead.
Brian Cage is huge. He's impressive, but off the top of my head, so far in AEW, I think he's only had a couple matches, and now he's just getting crowned. Like, Taz is already crowning this guy, who, by the way, Taz is making Brian Cage. Like, Taz's promos have been so good. Level. Yes. I just love listening to Taz talk. I miss his podcast. I wish he was still doing his podcast, but bigger fish to fry, I guess.
Well, let me tell you something, Cole. When sorry, why my only, like, and this is nitpicky, why is he FTW champion now? Why don't they wait until after the match? Because obviously Jon Moxley is going to win, right? And then elevate him as, he didn't beat Jon Moxley, but he beat him to a bloody pulp, right? Because obviously he's not just going to lay down and like finger poke him through him, right? Mm-hmm. And then bring out the FTW championship to give him momentum, like even the slightest amount of momentum he's going to lose if and honestly when he loses to Jon Moxley. But like I said, it's a nitpicky thing. And jokes aside, let me tell you something, Cole. Taz is really good at what he's doing right now. I love it. I love every bit of it.
I think he.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you said, Billy. A lot of my, again, small nitpicky issues with this. It's AEW does such a great job building these championship matches, like with Brody Lee and Moxley. It built so heavily, and once it got to that pay-per-view and it was over, it just felt like Brody Lee was just thrown away. Like it was next challenger of the month. And I don't think they should do the same with Brian Cage. I think he just debuted in a huge fashion. I think that he needs more time to kind of build. Clearly, they're not going to do that. I just wonder what it looks like after he does inevitably lose to Moxley, because I just don't think he's the guy to unseat Moxley.
I figure what they do is something similar to what they did when Cody was going through the trials and Wardlow had his debut match against Cody in a steel cage. Yeah, Wardlow lost, but he lost because he took a moonsault from 20 feet in the air, right? You're not getting up from that. No. So I figure Jon Moxley hits him with like 18 million paradigms, just finisher spams the paradigm shift onto like 3 thumbtack infused steel chairs wrapped in barbed wire or something, and like they'll put him over without actually giving him the title. I think AEW is very good at that. I think.
The way Taz explained it last week, you were wondering why they didn't wait until after the match to give him the title. How I remember it was he explained, well, what was supposed to happen tonight was Brian Cage was going to be crowned AEW champion, but since Jon Moxley, blah, 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 is not here, this is what he gets, the FTW title, which is such a great heel move, crowning someone champion before even the fight even happens. Oh, it's just great stuff.
Mm-hmm. I like that counterpoint. That's a super good point.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah. That's all I got to say is yeah. I am a great host. This is going fantastic. Anyway, so AEW, so we all think that Jon Moxley is going to retain next week?
Yes, and I'm very interested to see how they do that whilst not making Brian Cage look stupid, because I think he can definitely be one of those guys that can be one of their main guys for the next couple of years if they need him to be.
And they don't have a lot of credible big guys like Brian Cage who can do the things that he can do. So I think it's important to kind of keep him unique. Maybe even to give him like a Brock style mystique, because he is that big and he's athletic too. So I think there's something that needs to be done with him. I just don't think he should be the challenger of the month and kind of just thrown to the wayside after something big like this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I
So
totally.
then at that point, yeah, sorry to cut you off, Gabe.
No,
but
go
at
ahead.
That point, who do you guys think should beat Jon Moxley at some point?
Could it be Omega's time? I mean, I know he's the tag team champion right now, but I mean, Omega, he's just so good and he's just so renownedly known. I know Dante was telling me off mic, I guess, that that the worst thing AEW's done is make Kenny Omega seem normal, or like a normal kind of wrestler. And I agree with that, but I don't know. I guess push either Hangman or Kenny, maybe break up the team, maybe have them fight for a little while, and then one of them go after the title.
My ideal situation for AEW is next champ, because I'm a mark, MJF, and then the man who makes him not undefeated anymore is Kenny Omega. And there you go. Now you've got your made man. And then after that, after Adam Page is in swimming for a while, I'm not going to fantasy book years in ahead. But my ideal next three champions are MJF, Kenny Omega, Hangman.
Yeah.
True. I think one thing that bugs me though about the whole thing is when you look at everyone who's in AEW, when it comes to who's the best on the mic, the most consistent in the ring, sadly, it's probably Cody. And I don't know why they're going to continue to do the thing where he's not challenging for the world title if they're going to do some sort of workaround for it. They seem serious about it. I hope they're not. I think it's too big of a missed opportunity. Their fan base wants it, whether he's heel or face. I think he's too big of a star and has too much star potential to not just put the strap on him.
Yeah, when they did that stipulation right at the beginning, I mean, AEW's been around for less than a year, and it's like he can't challenge for the title anymore, which makes a lot more sense now that they have the TNT championship on him, which he should have, and I could see him holding that championship for a very long time. It looks good for AEW. It looks really good for TNT to have him as the guy carrying around the belt with your TV channel's logo on it. But who's going to take down Moxley? I honestly can't see anybody beating him for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think anybody needs to beat him. I mean, when you are doing all these shows with no fans in the crowd, it's not, I mean, why do you need to do a title change? I don't know. I just think he's a good representative of the title. He is the biggest badass ever. Everything he does just seems real. Like he actually hates people and he wants to beat the crap out of them, and he does. So for that reason, I just don't see him losing that title anytime soon.
And I agree with that too. Even though I mentioned that I do want some new like who I want as my next AEW champion. I don't want it to happen anytime soon either. So I agree with you.
I think they should have Jon Moxley come out with a Bane mask and have him be a germaphobe. I think that's a good idea. I think that'll work. I think that'll.
That's good shit.
I think that'll be. I wish I had that sounder. That's such good shit.
Such good shit.
Yeah, I think that'll work gangbusters for them. Anything else on AEW from Fyter Fest? Any reflections or anything?
One thing I want to touch on quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go for it. It was the 8-man tag match. It was FTR and the Young Bucks against Butcher and the Blade and the Lucha Bros. And like, what was the craziest 8-man tag team match I've ever seen in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been a huge fan of 8-man tags, but those guys managed to do something that was just wild and a crazy back and forth match that did see the heel team surprisingly win, which leads to Lucha Bros and FTR and a regular tag next week. That should be a banger. But I like AEW's tag team division, and I think it's so special what they're building with so many different teams there, which is why, again, another little controversial statement here, I don't like Kenny and Hangman having the tag team titles anymore. I think there are too many good actual tag teams to have two singles guys basically use it for a future storyline. I think you need to get it to FTR, you need to get it to the Bucks or whoever, really. But I think Hangman and Kenny need to move on to their own feud just to kind of save the tag team division and give it the chance it needs to grow.
I agree.
I agree completely. AEW's tag team division is insane right now. It's crazy the contrast between WWE tag team wrestling and AEW tag team wrestling. I think WWE tag team wrestling is so boring, but some of the best wrestling, regardless of anything right now, is AEW's tag team matches. They're so good. You have so many good teams: Bucks, FTR, Lucha Bros, SCU, Butcher and the Blade,
Private Party.
Private Party is insane. They are so good, and they've been stars since the beginning because they beat the Young Bucks like on one of the might have been one of the first episodes of Dynamite. Those
Gold
guys are
Rush tournament,
insane.
yeah.
I mean, it's nuts, and I actually thoroughly enjoy watching tag team wrestling now because of AEW. AEW tag team wrestling. WWE's is pretty boring.
Well, we got to bring up that WWE does have some good teams. Like the New Day's solid, the Usos are solid. There are some spots where it's good, but I agree as a whole, it's just not the same as AEW.
Tag wrestling has done a disservice on. I don't mean to cut you off, Neil, but WWE is doing such a disservice to the tag division when they have that many tag teams. I mean, the Usos should be, and for a while the best tag team in the world. Like, and I wholeheartedly agree with Adam Pacitti when he said it back in the day. But like, they're just doing a disservice, and they could be doing so much more and filling that. And we talked about it before the show, Neil. Those 3 hours of television, they could fill it with great tag wrestling. It's there. Just book it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
Yeah, they could fill the show with good tag team wrestling, but they just fill the show with tag team wrestling, and it's usually just mind-numbingly boring, unfortunately.
I mean, you could basically say that about Raw in general. At least 2 hours of it, at least.
Out of the 3 hours, there's maybe a half hour worth of stuff that I'm interested in.
Yeah, and that's why we spent most of the show not talking about it.
It's true. I'm gonna pivot. One more thing to AEW. I just want to look ahead to Fight Fallen real quick. Just two quick points, both the same thing. Hell yes to open challenges for the TNT Championship, and hell yes to Sonny Kiss versus Cody Rhodes. They're gonna tear shit up. I'm so excited to see it.
Yep, I agree.
was really happy when I saw that graphic on the screen last night. I'm like, this is awesome. Sonny Kiss is time to shine.
Yep.
On the national spotlight.
All right. Yeah, I agree. And so we're coming towards the end of the show here. We're going to talk more next week, kind of previewing Extreme Rules. I know this was a big week for NXT and AEW, so that's obviously what we talked about. But Billy, you had a question you wanted to get to.
Yeah, I do. So I'm going to post this to the whole group. I guess we'll just go around the horn here, and we'll just start with our we'll just start with whoever wants to go, and then just kind of go from there. But I just want to know, it's more of a two-party question, so I'll just do the first part. What is the worst promo of all time? Like not because the second part of the question I'm going to ask is what's the best bad promo of all time? Mm-hmm. But what is honestly the worst promo of all time?
All right, I'll go first. Well, this is the worst promo I've seen live where I'm just like watching TV and it happens. I happen to catch this, and it's actually in our intro. It's the Kalisto, goddamn it, woo. Like, that's just so bad.
Worst of things?
Yeah,
that's the best bad promo for me.
Like he calls Baron Corbin, and then he's struggling the whole time, and then he wants to make a good lucha thing. God damn it! Woo! And then best promo. I wasn't around for this yet, but I've gone back and watched it. I mean, this is going to be the generic answer, but I think it's the pipe bomb promo.
Right, yeah, and that's like the best, but I'm talking like the best of the worst, if that makes sense. Like a bad promo that you think is really good just because like it's funny or it makes it kind of makes sense in your head, something like that too. But I do love me some pipe bomb, so we'll add that too if you want to talk.
Yeah,
about
and
it.
then another one I don't want to go through all of them, but another one I want to mention is the one where I think it's Hulk Hogan talking and he messes up and he goes, "Oh, we'll do that again," and he goes, "We're live, pal."
That's Psycho Sid.
Oh, Psycho Sid, yeah.
With me and Gene. Yeah.
He just goes, "Sorry."
We're live, pal.
All right, you guys can go ahead.
Honestly, I'm trying to rack my brain to come up with the worst promo, and honestly, we kind of mentioned it earlier, but the Dean Ambrose promos when he had to wear the stupid gas mask, it was so bad, and you could just it was just cringeworthy. I'm like, this is not Dean Ambrose. Like, he's a badass guy. Why is he like scared of the fans? He's wearing this gas mask to keep away from germs. I mean,
he knew the coronavirus was coming.
Luckily, the
mask.
Yeah, honestly, luckily, that was a very short-lived stint, and that will be hopefully a forgotten memory in his career, because I think the best is still yet to come with him. Another promo.
Sorry,
Go for it. I was gonna move on to a different one, but what else you got to say about this one?
It's like, as talented as Dean Ambrose is, to give him lines like that, it's like covering a turd in ice cream sprinkles.
I agree.
Like he's so good at what he does, and you're just feeding him crap, and it's crap that's so bad that not even he can make it good, and that's saying something.
It's such good shit.
It's written.
Yeah, it's kind of baffling. I mean, a lot of promos these days are just from WWE are just garbage. Like, that's not how people talk. They don't talk the way they don't talk like that. Another promo, which was a good promo, but it was probably a bad promo for this guy, was it must have been last year or a couple of years ago, John Cena and Roman Reigns, when John Cena just went off on Roman Reigns.
Oh, yeah.
And Roman Reigns lost his train of thought
Forgot
and didn't know what to
yeah.
say. That was so awkward. That was pretty bad. I felt bad for Roman Reigns.
Also, we got to remember suckering Succotash.
Yes.
That is, for me, my worst. Like, and that was something that was so genuine. They told him that would be a good line, and he actually went and did it. Like, it was brutal. It was so cheesy and corny and brutal.
God, gotta give him some points though. God bless him. I mean,
yeah,
man,
company man.
Really trying.
And then he goes, "Man, that was tough to say." Yeah.
So Dante, I want to. As long as Neil, if you're good, I think the best transition would be to Dante, since he was bringing up that one. So.
Oh yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, the Suffering Succotash is the worst promo, the worst genuine promo. That another Roman one too that bothers me. I think it was after like WrestleMania. I think it was the one after Billy went to 32, where he did the whole "I'm not a good guy, I'm not a bad guy, I'm the guy."
Oh yeah, yep.
Worst promo. But as far as like the funny worst, I think the Good Lucha thing for me is my favorite. I can go back and watch that anytime and still pop. Just the whole Shockmaster thing in general. One that gets me.
You can just hit. I think it's Ric Flair in the background. It's like, oh god.
Yeah, after this, I'm probably gonna pull that up and watch the Shockmaster promo. But if you haven't seen it, just look up Shockmaster in YouTube, and it's a good laugh. If you don't know about the Shockmaster promo, it was a guy in like a in like wearing a full mask and stuff like a helmet.
Stormtrooper mask.
Yeah, stormtrooper.
Sparkly one.
And someone talking for him and him trying to like mouth and then he trips over the wall or something.
He was supposed to make this big epic entrance running through this wall like the Kool-Aid Man, and he biffed it, lost his helmet.
It's a stormtrooper helmet with sprinkles on it. I didn't mean to cut you. It's a stormtrooper helmet with glitter on it, like silver glitter.
Like, keep in mind, this is what, like 90, 96, 97. So like the Star Wars thing wasn't new. This wasn't like a, like a surprise. It's amazing.
Also, we got to mention that was his debut. That's how he was supposed to be. Like this was your first taste of the Shockmaster.
Yeah, as a surprise tag team partner for one of the biggest stars in the company, Sting. He was the man. And he didn't follow through.
Yeah, I'm looking at a picture of him right now. The sparkles are hilarious.
Gabe,
He
all right,
doesn't
I
look in
think
the
we're
best
on.
shape either.
Yeah, right. I think we're on Gabe now for this one, unless Dante, you got anything else?
That covers it for me.
Yeah, and I already went. I went earlier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've got a few. I don't mean to like ramble on and on about these, so I'm gonna rapid fire through them. I'll start with the worst one. The worst promo of all time is Ultimate Warrior's debut on WCW, because he goes on and on and on and on, and just it doesn't stop. Listen to the words that I say, Hulk Hogan, da, 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 and it just goes on forever. The magic of the moment's gone. I guess full disclosure, I hate Ultimate Warrior a lot because he was a bad person, and yeah, he was a bad person. But it just goes on and on and on, and it's not fun, it's not funny, it's not cringe, it's just bad. Like it's not Dustin Rhodes going, I want to take a look at how bad this crap I'm in is. It's just he's serious about it, and it's just so bad. So it would either be that or when Edge and Christian first talked with Gangrel, Edge said about a bunch of rambling nonsense. We will become what we will become, and then they give the mic to Christian, and he says nothing, just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, and then so what's your best of the worst, or do you have more?
All right, so I'm going to quick power rank them because they go without saying. Number 3, Steiner Math. It checks out. It's fun. It's serious. And if you don't factor in like how to add in fractions and how percentages work and stuff like that, 75 plus 66 and 2/3 does add up to 141 and 2/3 chance of winning. He did go to the esteemed University of Michigan. He is a college graduate, I think. So, it's there. And as an Ohio State fan, I never want to call it esteemed, but you get the idea. Number 2 is Sid Vicious, Super Bowl Saturday, which was like for like an indie show. He can't rip a shirt because it's not gimmick. And he's like, I don't even know what this is. What's the show called? And the guy's like, Super Bowl Saturday. He's like, Super Bowl Saturday? What's the name of it? I don't know. And it's just so good. If you can play a clip of it, Gabe,
Mr. Luger, I saw what just happened out there with Ron Killens. I just want to ask you, what are your plans for the next show, Super Bowl Saturday? Are you going to take care of Ron Killens?
What kind of disgusting, despicable lack of respect is that Billy What's-His-Name show booking a match for the total package Lex Luger and Super Brawl? Super Saturday? What is it? I don't know what it's called. What is it called?
Super Bowl Saturday.
Super Brawl Saturday? Can he afford to pay me to wrestle Ron? I don't know. I'm one of the biggest legends and stars ever in this. God! And your t-shirts are too tight too, Billy! And you book a match with me against Ron Killens? Look at me! I'm a total package. I will rip him apart. I'm pissed now.
It's just great.
Okay.
The number 1 best worst promo of all time is Jumpin' Jeff Farmer from it was a show in like the 70s.
Yep.
I don't know what it was for, but the guy who's interviewing is like, he's facing a guy named Motley Cruz, which is just A+ name. I don't know how WWE never caught that guy and never made him become Motley Cruz, because that's just a horrid name. But the guy's like, well, heck of a match I had with Motley. And just nervously, like very nervously, Jeff just looks in the camera and goes, yep. And like you could slowly start him slow the bit of comedy. He's like, you turned the tables on me.
Folks, there's Jumpin' Jeff Farmer. Jeff, a while back, what a match you had with Motley.
Yep. You turned the tables in the wrong way, is there a right way to turn a table? And at the end, he punctuates it really well. He's like, oh, I'm going full force. And like, it sounds fine, but just the beginning of him just.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I think I have seen that too. Yeah. That's pretty funny.
It was the beginning of the yep movement.
That's true.
Yep.
Wait, years before it got going.
So maybe it's not bad. Maybe it's just ahead of its time.
Yep.
Yeah, of its time. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Neil's just boiling right now after he mentioned the name Sami Zayn.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this promo. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it. Speaking of Sami Zayn, remember when he brought out this was a terrible promo? Brought out all Bobby Lashley's 3 sisters.
Yeah, that wasn't his fault.
That was garbage.
Yeah.
That wasn't his fault.
That was bad.
That was bad.
Yeah, Parts Unknown did a really good parody of it. And if you haven't seen his rebooking of Bobby Lashley, that parody of it, I think, really just nailed it.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to watch that. But if you guys don't know, Neil has a unquenchable hate for Sami Zayn, which we'll talk about on other podcasts coming up. But Neil, why do you not like Sami Zayn?
That guy.
Why? He's so good.
I get it. I don't get the hat. I don't get the singing and dancing. He's just, oh God.
Literally all the tangibles they didn't give him, or they gave him.
It's just, I just don't understand it. He was like, him as a baby face, he was doing the same stuff as a heel. It doesn't even make sense as a baby face. Like him as a baby face doing all that stuff just honestly made me hate him. I cannot stand this guy. He doesn't look like a wrestler. He looks like a guy that you would run into at the brewery or something. Like,
I love Sami Zayn. I'm sorry. He's great.
Decent matches, I guess, but you're gonna be hard pressed to get me into Sami Zayn wrestling.
Is it just that you hate ska music? Is that your hate for Sami Zayn? Do you just not like ska?
Do you not have an affinity for Real Big Fish?
Kind of, his theme song actually kind of slaps, but that's the only good thing about him is his music.
By the way, Sami Zayn's theme song sounds like the America's Funniest Home Videos theme song. If you really listen to both of them.
I just hate the way he walks to the ring and he does that like dance where he's like kicking his legs up.
I love it.
Well, that's how you dance to ska music. That's called skanking, bro. That's a real thing, brother.
Yeah, I don't like it.
All right, to each their own. To each their own. That's fine, and we'll kind of go through that in fellow episodes. But yeah, we're kind of running out of time here. Next week, I guess we'll kind of talk about Extreme Rules and look forward towards that. So more WWE
the horror show.
Yeah, the horror show. Ooh,
that's
spooky. Yeah, we'll kind of talk about that. But any final thoughts, guys?
No, wrestling is I should say no, but yes, I do have a final thought. Pandemic wrestling off the bat was really hard to get into, but I think both companies are starting to find their groove. You don't really need a ton of crowd noise. It's good to have some crowd noise, but I think the matches have been great, and I can only speculate, but I think they do like performing in front of their peers every night. Yeah, I think I'm very grateful that we have still been able to have live wrestling for the last how many months.
I agree. Guys, any final thoughts, Billy or Dante?
More of a tease for next week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it straight up. The horror show Extreme Rules will be the best show of 2020.
Wow.
Let's go. We need real shoots here. We need hot takes.
Spoiler alert.
We'll see. Well, we'll talk about this next week.
Okay.
But the horror show Extreme Rules will be the best show of 2020 for WWE's main roster.
I'm writing
Period.
that down right now.
That's
Let's
huge.
take notes.
That's a huge take. That's a hot take.
That's a huge. It's spicy. It's very spicy.
I love it.
Should we just end shows with hot takes?
I think so. I think
You get like a 30-second shoot.
Yes.
That's a good idea. Billy, any final thoughts?
Yeah, if we're going with 30-second shoots, let me tell you something, Cole. No, I'm just, my only one shoot is this. The Roman Reigns hate thing needs to stop now. He has not won a title in 2 years. He has not been in a main event program in 2 years. If he becomes world champion tomorrow by some weird convoluted nonsense, I'll be okay with it. I think he does just fine. He's improved significantly since he got booed out of the building when I saw him in WrestleMania 32. The Roman Reigns hate thing is just the fact that people don't like the fact that WWE likes to market around one guy. But the problem is as long as Vince is running the show, that's the way it's going to be, because he has more people to please than the marks. He's got sponsors to please. He's got the casuals to please. They got to please everybody. So the Roman Reigns hate is overdone, and it's just I'm done with it.
Yeah. And I'm guilty of that as well. I'm guilty of not liking Roman Reigns, but maybe I need to turn it around. Well, that is today's episode of Ringsiders. Make sure to share this, like this on whatever stream it's on. We're not sure yet, but we'll be sure to have a consistent place for it coming up here in the coming days. Well, thanks for listening, and this has been Ringsiders. This has been Ringsiders. This has been Ringsiders. This has been Ringsiders. This has